policy committee meeting to order. I forgot to open my board book. I don't need updates right now. It always does that.
Most inopportune times.
Yes, it does.
So these kind of first four things are really more clerical slash admin, and or at least the first two. Policy 1303, I just went in and added the unpaid meal policy, so it will become one of the annual policies we review.
Okay.
So that's the only thing we added, and we just highlighted it in yellow. At the very bottom,
Okay,
that
that's what we
one.
did. Okay, gotcha.
Rosanna said that you had asked to have that added in as we review it annually.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Okay.
added that one in, so I don't know if you want any additional changes to that, but that's a pretty simple one that we could just take to the next board meeting for approval if you're good with it.
I haven't read the language. I mean, I skimmed it.
To the unpaid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so, okay,
This
gotcha.
is just
No,
the
okay.
1303.
Yes, we can take this.
We
We're
added
good.
the other one for you to
Yes.
look at, but the actual 180 or 1303,
Mhm.
just to add this one policy in. Are you good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I thought there were more dates. Why is there no adopted date? And I think we've had 2 or 3 revisions on this.
I don't know that we ever officially, remember we didn't have this for a very long time, and so I think we were adding to it, but I think you're right, I think it's come to the board twice at least.
It has, and my only thing is I believe this, oh maybe I'm not, is this the one you said we need to do, or can we fix 3255 on the form because spacing drives me nuts. Because with Chrissy we had another one like this that was you have
That
to
was the
read-
notice one.
The notice one, okay,
Right.
never mind then, but I thought this has come up a few times.
Well, we had it on our deal for a long time because we didn't have it before, and then I felt like we started going through all those policies, but then we finally took 1303 to the board. And when does it say? Yeah, so we started working on it in May, and then we must have taken it to the June board meeting for final approval. But I feel like we got it approved, and then we brought it back because remember, Rosanna, we added the student dress policy in there, and it wasn't in there originally. Do you remember that, Michelle? When we first took it to the board, it was when it still didn't have it didn't have the student dress.
3255.
And we added that in there, so I feel like we've taken it to the board twice.
I'm looking at board book. I show,
Yeah, because we took it back to the board in August. I think we did the June date and then we did it back in August
I
when
show
we added.
it was done in May.
That's when we worked on it. You said it was,
No.
you think it was approved?
Policy, okay, I gotta pay attention. Policy committee, policies and procedures to review. Where is this one? Is this one?
Oh yeah, because Rosanna, will you pull this, so maybe go up? Maybe I just linked in the wrong one. Cause I'm looking at this one that says June 15th of 2022, and then it says August 17th of 2022 is when we added the student dress. So I think I just pulled up the June one,
Okay.
but the one on the website is let me make sure it's August 17th.
Well, okay, yeah, there was a
That's my
June
fault.
15th meeting is when we brought it. And then August 17th, I
Yeah.
believe, is when it was modified. So, Rosanna, can you please make sure that whichever one where we're at in the file, all of the dates are listed. We don't ever remove them. We just keep adding on to them, so there's a history ledger, so to speak, of what's happened.
I think I just grabbed the wrong one when I made the draft.
Okay.
I think that's my fault. Rosanna, will you just scroll down really fast so we can make sure the one on the website is accurate?
Yes, one
Yours
second.
is pulling up and mine isn't.
Writing my notes here.
Yeah, so that's the right one.
So the one on the web is good.
Yeah, I just drafted the wrong one. But any other changes to that one other than we're adding in the,
No, that's fine,
Okay.
yeah, that's fine.
so I'll make that we'll add this one. And then, do you wanna go over the revised? I added some, we've talked a lot about maybe some of our changes specific to our procedures with policy. Do you wanna go over that now, or do you wanna wait till Ramona's back and then it's more of a clerical procedural thing?
We can wait for Ramona.
Okay. This next one, we have not looked at this policy, it's 3265,
Okay,
specific to students. And again, I'm just giving you a highlight of what people have asked to discuss, and then we can decide when we do it. The last time it was reviewed was 2008. And it just talks about kids with their phones and, using their phones during school time. But several principals have brought up that now with smartwatches, and there's no language in there because it was 2008, the last time it was reviewed specific to smartwatches, but they now can do cameras, and so they'll take them out to recess, and so just, they want smartwatches to fall under that same.
okay,
And it says this includes, it's specific to elementary, and no time cellular or device will be allowed in junior high or high school. This includes, in elementary, classroom cell phones must be turned off and may be stored in a student storage area as directed by staff. And then, but they've had, kids have taken them off at the playground and left them on the ground, so just, they want that same thing, like smartwatches are put away when they're, so that they're not
yeah, no, I hear
calling
you.
their friends in
Well,
the middle
yeah.
of class. And
I struggle with the fact that we say, or we said, you're not allowed to have schools, you're not allowed to have electronic devices in school, no phones, no anything, but
But
yet,
we're 1-to-1.
well, yeah, we are 1-to-1, which, who knows if it'll stay. But when teachers are using study periods at the middle school and allowing kids, if they don't have work to study on, well, then they can play YouTube, or they can, well, not play YouTube, but be on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, their devices, it's what the children have become accustomed to, but why have policies say what they say if we're not going to enforce them?
Right.
And personally, I don't think they need to be. I mean, if there's no phones, there's no phones. But
They can get a book. They
yeah,
can
that's my
get-
board member hat. Sorry, gotta take that off.
Yeah.
Let's just, okay.
So that is, we're still working on the attendance stuff, so I just put this on here. It's something that we can either talk about tonight or move on to get all of our attendance stuff dialed in, and then come back to that. We still have the school dog that we're talking about, but I just told them I'd put it on here for discussion.
Okay. I don't show an update on, summer 2022, there's an update to 3265. So we need to update that policy.
And it hasn't been reviewed since 2008.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So we do need to. All right.
Do we want to tackle that now?
I mean, I'm signed out.
Or do we want to stay the course and finish the attendance and the trained dog? And come back to those.
My preference would be stay the course and finish where we started. My 2 cents.
And Jacqueline and Nate are just being quiet.
I don't have a preference. Either is fine.
Well, again, with the attendance, all of those letters, I don't think that's appropriate for policy committee. I think we need to be on policy.
Oh, okay.
So draft 3040, isn't that, didn't we?
So that one is coming up right now. We just sent out patron input for this one. This is the compulsory.
Okay.
But we did have a patron when they gave feedback for 3050, which is the attendance policy, and then they saw 3040 and they're like, oh, I think we should merge those two. So I brought you their merged version. So, because you did get feedback on that, and then you
Right.
also have stakeholder input for the 3040, the compulsory one. So, but because that one's coming up too,
Right.
Is this a merged document with 3040 and 3050?
I don't know what Roseanne
No, I did not
copied.
print that one.
Okay.
What's 3050?
30/50 is our attendance policy, but we also have a compulsory attendance. It's basically statute. It just says, we worked on it this last time about this is what it says
Right.
about the 7 to the age span of when you have to be in school.
That's right.
So the patron suggested that you merge the two and not have them separated.
Kind of makes sense.
Okay, so it was 30/50 that was brought to the board meeting, cause for some reason.
Yeah.
I thought it was 30/40 that was brought, cause I remember looking
Yeah.
at the parent, input, thinking, okay.
So we started with 30/50 and that just went to the board for approval, and I just have a question about it, cause people are asking us if we're
Right.
making it retroactive from the start of the school year, or where everybody starts with 0 absences right now, and then we're moving forward. Then we, in that discussion, brought up the 30/40, and then we sent out patron input for that.
Okay. Well, with what the overall consensus that I got on the input was, we really like the short and sweet.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. I don't know the benefit of merging it because 30/40 specifically talks about the fact, it's, I don't know if it's a policy, but it's what I mean. Get back a little 30/40. Oh, there we are. We're all right. There was one comment on that policy where the Board of Trustees is responsible for the education of all school-age children within the district boundaries. Another person had commented about the second half of that sentence should probably be left. So I highlighted on the document that we had right there, that highlighted portion, someone had recommended it be added back.
That it reserves the right to that one.
Right, ensure comparability of services at all other schools. And what I took on that from that statement was that the district reserves the right to be able to help homeschool parents out, help private school. I think that's what that statement is addressing without having a full and complete understanding. Because I do want, we are obligated to help homeschooling parents and whatnot. So I think that needs to, if they want the help, we can't go out knocking on doors, but,
Yeah, we've had parents come in and want some additional testing done, and we
Right.
have supported them. We've had parents come in that just want their kids to come in for specials, and that's
Right.
it. And we've allowed,
right,
yeah, they're still in our community, and,
Right.
and we help.
Right. So I think the gist was, where's the input? Cause I thought that was a good catch. I thought, ooh, yeah, that's important. I wasn't quite sure if you look at cell 8. Oh, you're right there. Changes are okay. It would be nice to have homeschool specifically listed as other options are listed specifically. So I wasn't sure if she was, when I say she, I don't know who it is, but I wasn't sure if this parent was referencing
The code.
the
I feel like
code.
they're referencing the code.
Okay. Cause yeah, I'm not in agreement to
It's
change it.
because they talk about, like in this part, it says to accomplish this, a parent or guardian shall either cause the child to be privately instructed, or in public school or public charter. Like it says, it talks about virtual charter, it talks about parochial school, so it just doesn't say homeschool. But that's statute.
Yeah, it is statute.
I think that's where she's talking about its listing.
Right. Okay. And see, I think, okay, to accomplish this, a parent or guardian shall either cause the child to be privately instructed by or at the direction of his parent or guardian. That, I think right there is homeschooling, in my interpretation of the statute. And I don't think we need to argue the statute, but
Yeah.
I don't wanna change it because I did copy and paste it from the statute.
Right. Well, I just think it's the.
I get what the parents,
Yeah.
I do get what they're saying though, it should be clearer.
If we just use the word, I think that's what they meant. It should just say homeschool.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that with the parent or guardian is responsible for the education of their school-aged child within the district boundary. It is the responsibility of the board to ensure comparability of services at all other schools. So based on that comment, I'd really like to add that second half of that sentence back in a sense.
Do you want to
of-
leave it the way it is and just have the conversation, or do you want to completely take off the strike through?
Here's what I wanna do. I don't know why we reserve the right, but.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I
Should
was
just say
homeschooled, I
ensure.
wouldn't like that language. Like, does that mean that you reserve the right to like come into my house and examine my curriculum?
And ensure comparability of services at all other schools.
Yeah, that looks
Okay.
good, I think.
The reserve sounds weird.
Yeah, cause I'm like, we're reserving the right, okay, why? That doesn't make any sense. So if I do that, when we have the meeting, I can just say, look, this is what the committee did
Mhm.
at my fingers. Within the district boundaries and then. Okay. Ensures comparability of services at all other schools. Okay,
Yeah, and you can just give context at the meeting.
yeah,
So below this, I just added, Rosanna, the policies for the November are 1303 at this point in the 3040.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Michelle, do you wanna just at some point, when we look at the policy development, like maybe we meet and then just go through those letters as well?
yeah, we can do
Okay,
that.
so I
That's
just put
totally
revisit
fine.
and revisit for us. Before we move on to our trained dog policy, attendance policy, are we starting from the start of the school year, or are we starting fresh, like, I mean,
I
as
think
a-
that's a board decision,
okay,
and, I mean, we've had a policy in place,
Right.
so I don't really know that we've deviated too far off of what that policy
we
said.
haven't,
So I don't know why we would be like, everybody clean slate, all new again.
exactly,
But that's my opinion, and it needs to go before the board for discussion and
Okay.
direction.
okay, so I'm just gonna take this whole part and we'll
So we're gonna skip student club and go to training dog?
So I thought you guys were going to have a discussion about this, and I didn't think it needed to be on here, because it's not happening in policy, right?
What?
The student clubs, you guys are doing that separately,
Workshop.
right?
Are we doing a workshop on it?
That's what I recall from one of the meetings.
Okay, did we set a date?
No, not yet.
Oh, how come?
I don't know, but I can do that.
Okay.
There's
is
also
that-
another workshop we need to do for the board as well. I can't remember off the top of my head.
You were going to do a workshop specific to. it was just
Oh,
on-
money projects.
It was the facilities.
Yes, for the facilities.
I was like, it
the
was
Okay,
whole-
typical
the
yeah, we
whole
need those,
facilities
we need
thing.
those schedules.
Okay.
It was right there. and I
With
lost it.
the student clubs,
Uh-huh.
the school district has the option of having school-sponsored clubs, having non-school sponsored clubs, doing both. And there is concern with, should these clubs be academic focused? Should they have some benefit to the school district? I mean, we are an educational institution, so there's concern.
Yep.
And so the board, I mean, it was a little heated, so we're gonna have a workshop and invite everybody to come to kind of tell us what they want. Because there are those of us on the board that are ready to be done with clubs and say no more clubs. We're just,
Why don't have only academic and athletic clubs or something like that?
and that's definitely an option, which those would all be school sponsored clubs. Because there's protocols to doing school sponsored. What we found was the way even school clubs became an issue is we started getting emails about a club. And so I asked for all the documentation because our policy has specific protocol and no one had any documentation. And then we're like, well, how do we even know what clubs are going on in the district? And so that prompted this whole thing. And now we've got protocol in place, we've got procedure. And what we found is we're still having, teachers initiate clubs, which is fine that they want to be more involved with their students. But if the students aren't bringing it forward, which is the premise for all clubs, then that's not really following policy. So to be crystal clear, either we make it all academic or we don't. Either we make it academic and athletic or we don't. We make it athletic, academic, and
Whatever.
connection, or we don't. And so there's advantages to doing school sponsored because those are a little bit more controlled and have better oversight, and maybe better oversight's not the right word, but then to do those not sponsored, because if they're not sponsored, then couldn't
They can
Like-
do whatever they want, basically.
they can do whatever they
Basically,
want.
yeah.
They do have to provide their bylaws and what they're going to do and why they're doing it, but it's outside of.
It's outside of the scope of school.
Yeah, exactly. And so at the last board meeting, one of us wanted to just do away with them. Two of us were like, let's just do school sponsored, because in that way there is some control within the clubs and what's going on and
Yeah.
all that. So we don't know what we're gonna do. The board needs to make a decision, and we thought, in all fairness, we should have a workshop to sort of truly understand doing school sponsored as opposed to just not. How is it going to impact the clubs that are currently going? Because this is something that would take effect starting next school year, because the clubs are already
Yep.
going and doing their thing. But just making sure that we're being most prudent for what the community wants, what the parent wants for their child, etc.
Okay, thank you. So the workshops, the board's there, and also community,
Yep.
and you can say
Yes.
what you think about it.
Yep. And the workshops are actually where there's communication with the board, because
Yeah.
we're all trying to figure it out. And we want to have an understanding, people can ask questions, we can have dialogue.
It's
as
more like
opposed to-
this.
Yeah,
exactly.
But it's
It is.
it's more formal.
Yes.
But it's
How
like
many
this.
parents usually come, or community members usually come?
Nobody. Now, whether
We're here
that's
now.
Yay! That could possibly be due to lack of an understanding of what the workshop is for and who it's for, because it really is for the community. I'm hoping that that's what it is, but no, we definitely want parents there.
Well, and I think one of the in the revised developmental policy procedure thing I put together is just this has kind of been a work in progress since I think we started this in January. They were doing it before, but I came on and then we were just trying to put some systems in place. And so one of the things we talked about is building kind of a month at a glance of here's the meetings that are coming up in November, so that parents can kind of see if there's anything that you might not be able to consistently come to one thing, but at least in that month that we're just putting it out there and you can come. And so these workshops, because we know they're happening, and so then there's some type of, if you can go on and check on their page, and so those are one of the suggestions of, do we do like a month at a glance of the upcoming, all the subcommittees, all that kind of stuff, so people can go, oh, I can't do this, but that's something that is interesting to me,
Yeah.
so, because some of it I think is awareness too.
strongly believe
Yeah.
that, because I wouldn't go to a board meeting if I wasn't on the board. I mean, they're really boring. You're just sitting there listening to people talk. You can't really engage. But the workshops where you can be like, hey, why are we doing this? Is this really in the benefit of our district? And you can have dialogue, talk, become educated on what's the topic at hand and why do we feel the way we do. You know, how many people are really upset about this or that. And so that's the benefit of the workshop.
Gotcha.
It's a
But
huge
there's a lot of
benefit.
boards that won't do workshops because it's that dialogue, and so, I mean, we have been doing them now for 2 years.
Mhm.
So, I mean, so that people can, it's just an open, you know,
Yeah.
sharing.
Are there private workshops also where the public's not invited and it's just board, or are those just
No.
closed board meetings?
The only time a board meeting can be closed is if it's executive session. That's it.
And there's
Everything
there's
else has to be
parameters
done
in
in
which you can go
public.
into executive
Yeah.
session.
We can't just randomly go.
Yeah.
We have to have a specific cause to go into executive session.
Okay.
But yeah,
There's statute around what you're allowed to do, so it's personnel kinds of stuff
Yeah.
for the most part.
Could I ask one more question and I swear I'll stop?
Stop.
Well, I was talking to some other parents and about something we talked about previously at the coffee and donuts thing about like, there seems to be sort of like principal policies of like what things teachers are going to discuss with kids at Twin Lakes. Like for example, my kindergartner had a new teacher, and so I talked to Mrs. Melton about what kinds of things might this teacher say to my 5-year-old, and right, he's gonna know he's a boy and all the
Right.
things, right? And so
Yeah.
I felt sort of like I had to vet that all out, and like next year if he has a different teacher that I don't know, well, I'll have to vet that all out. And
Right.
so if we were interested in like bringing to the board or talking about like, is there a way to get a district-wide policy of these things so that parents don't feel compelled to do that?
Will
Yeah,
you
that's
pull up
good
our,
stuff.
will you pull up our green sheet really fast? So you mentioned this at the coffee clutch, and so, where I put resolution policy regarding, SO and G, I just put for like sexual identity, it's gender, it's all of those stuff. I just didn't put a name to it because I don't want people to see this and go, we're gonna talk about, cause that happened with something, people thought that we were promoting CRT when there was something on a piece of paper that said we're gonna talk about CRT.
Right.
So, so when you spoke about it, I put it on here so that we don't forget about it.
Oh.
So that, and just like when a principal said something to me about the smartwatches, I will put it on here. It's not always in the flow of what we're doing.
Right.
But
Needs
this
to get
is
to
kind of
its
our
spot.
house of like everything so that we don't forget, and so that I can, like, now Michelle knows it's on the radar. We may not get to it right now, but
Yeah.
it's on the radar. So if patrons, like when we're out and about, will say, hey, I really think this would be helpful and I would love the board, I'll put it on here and then they get to decide when it happens. I just
Yeah.
put initials on here because I didn't want it to be
That's
somebody
really fair.
saw it and say,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, they're gonna do this, because
Yeah.
we had that happen.
And
Yeah.
I do think that maybe as a committee, because I did bring it up at the board meeting, we have to have a resolution
Yeah.
sooner rather than later, because without the resolution, there's no direction
Mhm.
and there's no understanding.
Mhm.
So I did hear you, and that's why
Yeah,
it's there.
no, that's amazing.
But
Okay.
I didn't spell it out because I just thought if somebody sees this and thinks that the board's promoting
Yeah, no,
it,
that
that's
really
not
makes
good. We're gonna
sense.
end up on Facebook.
Yeah.
So, if we, maybe after we get through the train dog, if we wanna tackle that and draft a resolution and bring it to the board. Because I know Ramona is very passionate about making sure everything is as it should be. And she's great at writing resolutions, but I mean, we all have so much on our plate.
Yeah.
But getting more help and being able to move forward with accomplishing things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really good. Like, I went to the meet the teacher
Okay.
thing prior to, the start of school. It was like trying to get to know the teacher and asked all kinds of questions, some of which were, I don't know, maybe overly personal, like, what does your tattoo say? Which I did ask. But if there's a policy in place like that, then
Yeah.
I would worry less about such things.
Well, and
Yeah.
multiple people, like we did a coffee clutch last night and it came up, and then we did a video blog today and it came up again, just like what is, you know, how do you ensure that this isn't happening? And so I think I can't remember what I said because I was on video and then I get nervous. And so now I can't really recollect what I said, but I'm pretty sure I was like, yeah, we just had a parent. And I actually I think I said that story of like we had a parent in a meeting bring it up. And so it's up and coming. Like the board really listens to what the patrons are saying. And then it's a matter of when we can get to it, because there's just so many policies that need to be updated.
Oh,
so.
totally. No, that's amazing that you already had it on there. That means a lot.
Yeah.
Coming from things I've experienced, like that would never happen.
If I'm being really honest, I can't remember what the SO stands for.
I can guess. It's probably sexual orientation.
Oh, that's what I said. That's what I meant. I was looking at it, I was like, why did I say SOG? Can't remember. But right after we talked,
But you knew what it was.
I put it on there and I pointed it out to Michelle. I was like, remember we talked about this? And so,
Yeah. Okay, thank you for answering my question. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Back to the trained dog.
Trained dog. Here we go.
Let's see, and let's see where we at. Did we not download and add ISBA's model policy for therapy dog?
We do.
So are these dogs just like there for anyone, or are they with a particular, associated with a particular
So
student?
we do have a policy currently for service dogs, and it's specific to dogs, the
Okay.
service animal. We have a service animal policy. We do not have any policy related to a trained dog, a therapeutic dog, but in part of our conversation is we don't, back in the day, like we used to have hamsters in the first grade classroom. We don't even have a policy that really addresses that. And so as we started researching what different districts had around this, we found one specific to like class pets and that kind of a thing. And then we had one specific to like if you wanted to have a school pet, which is like the trained dog, which is a scenario, one building they want to have essentially like a school pet scenario. But we don't have policy around it, so we just this is our kind of looking at different policies and what do we want, and then the board will make the decision, are they going to allow there to be like a pet dog or and obviously there will have to be some training attached to that, but we can let hamsters and that kind of
Lizards, what
yeah.
have you. So reading it, like it read like this was a dog specifically for one student that like needed the dog as a service animal. Or
So we do
but
have a
that's not what it
service
is?
animal
Okay.
policy specific
Okay.
to, but that's
This is a different thing.
that's different.
This
right?
is not a dog that's like owned by one of the students. It's just a dog.
It's kind of I would say it's more of a pet situation. It's a dog that they're using in the school to,
Like where a trainer comes in with them.
and helping the kids, like how do you take care of a dog? You have to feed them, and and
Okay.
if you're, having a bad day, you can come love on a little puppy, and not a little puppy, but kind of a thing. But it's not specific to a student.
Okay.
It's more specific to a school.
So is the one on the big screen sort of our current rough draft that we're working off of?
What this is Idaho School Board Association has drafted policies that school districts can just adopt. We like to use them as kind of a template. They are written by lawyers, so we like to correct a lot of the language. But this is their policy, and it was pretty similar to what was up there last meeting with Kimberly School District.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, oh wait, they do have it, so let's just tweak what they have to adopt it to be what we want, because what they do is sorry.
Also associated with canines.
Yes. They, they'll cross-reference, they've got cross-reference on there, sometimes they'll list statutes, so it saves us some legwork that Ramona and I are really big on, what does the law say? Because if the law doesn't say it, why are we saying it as if the law does say it? And we do follow up with that. That's why sometimes we really do have to rewrite them, because subject to interpretation, we're real big with just put what the statute says. That way there's no changing what it says. So, but yeah, this is the policy that ISBA created.
Okay.
That we would just modify for our district.
Got it.
3580.
But we don't currently have one.
No, we don't, and we don't have a 30, do we have a 35 or a 2580? Which is the use of animals in education programs, I don't think we do.
No, we talked about
Okay,
that.
we need that
We
one as
like
well.
that one because we're like, oh, we don't really have anything.
Right. Okay, so let's go.
Yeah, we stopped at 2570 and then jump straight to 26.
Oh, this is a nightmare one, okay. Okay, so the trained dog policy. Oops, let me make that go away. I have too many things open. I think what we may want to, oh, here we go. Thank you. Be easier to compare. So this trained dog in school, I mean, there is a lot of parallel language with the therapy dogs in the
Mhm.
district.
I'm just gonna run to my car really fast. I left my notes from last time out there.
Okay. Use of animals in the education program. Okay, so I think we're gonna need to tackle both.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they have to be so many pages? Good lord.
It's on this meeting.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Is there a way that you could combine them?
I don't think we want to do that.
Okay.
Because using, there we are. Animals in education is broad scoped. Using therapy dogs is narrow scoped. It's the policy specific to bringing that animal into school.
Right.
So I don't wanna have to be like hyper vigilant on a teacher that just wants to have a classroom pet of a hamster. I don't think that's necessary. Or a goldfish, or a beta, you know, who knows?
Fish, they die.
Yeah, well, I know. And one year, I think it was Micah's kindergarten teacher, had, some lizard, some big lizard. What are they called?
Iguana?
No,
Chameleon?
no, maybe it was the
Uh,
iguana. I don't think so.
Komodo dragon?
Bearded dragon.
Bearded dragon.
The bearded dragon. And so, you know, it was the class pet, but then it became the holiday pet house was mine. So I kept coming to my house Like, oh, no, I did not sign up to be the bearded dragon lady. I'm not going to like give it live bugs. That's just nasty. But the kids loved it, so
So you sucked it up because you're a great grandma.
yeah, like fine. Bring the bearded dragon.
I didn't think we were talking about gender identity. Never mind.
All right, so can you bring up policy 3585 or 2585, excuse me?
This is the ISBA model.
Correct. There we go. Why is yours red?
I don't know.
That's weird. Mine's not. Okay, so this is an optional policy. District is not required to recognize the therapy dog. Correct. So we'll just take that out. Okay, so the district recognizes, not specifically recognizes, specifically train. Can get rid of that, sad. The district recognizes specifically trained therapy dogs can provide educational and other benefits for district students and may allow such dogs to be used in schools in accordance with this policy and with policy 2580, use of dogs in educational programs. But it's not use of dogs. 2580 is not use of dogs. It is use of animals in education program. So I have too many things open. I can't find my spot. There we go. Okay, so on this trained school policy, examples of activities that students may engage in with a trained school dog may include. Do we need that information?
It might be helpful for parents reading it to understand what
The
these dogs
why.
are, right, used for, and so they're not confused with if they, like, this is not a service dog for
Right.
one student, this is for whatever students might benefit from.
I wonder then if in 2580, the 14-page document. Okay, so I think, what's that? No, go ahead.
I was gonna ask them if they want some water.
Oh,
I'm
Honey,
okay, I'll
would you
need
like
some
some
water.
water?
I'm good. Thank you.
well, in referencing back to use of animals in education programs is where, in a sense, that would be. But I do get what you're saying, that people might think this is, let's circle back to that. So we can kind of keep paralleling.
Although that next part there where it says a therapy dog, which are these therapy dogs or
Yep.
trained school dogs?
This is therapy dogs.
Okay. Is a dog that has been individually trained and certified, so I mean, that sort of clears it up, I
Right.
would say.
To work with its handler to provide emotional support, well-being, comfort, and companionship to district students. The dog must have a current AKC Canine Good Citizen certificate or certified registered to provide appropriate interactions with students and others at the school. The The dog must be well behaved and have a temperament that is suitable for interaction with students and others in public schools. So we've got trained school dogs will be individually trained and will have proof of successful completion of the AKC Canine Good Citizenship Evaluation to begin working in the schools. This certification must be completed within 1 month following the dog's first birthday. Dogs over 1 year of dogs over the age of 1 year must complete this certification before approval for schoolwork. Okay, so I think, because I know when Jake brought this forward, his hope was that the handler could actually be training the dog in the school environment. It wouldn't necessarily be a wouldn't have completed its training. So, how do we feel about that? Should the dog already be trained, or should we allow within the school environment training for that dog?
I mean, I think that dogs that were planning to go through this training would already be pretty well vetted, that they have a good temperament and will be successful at this. So I think it would be okay to have them train at the school. I don't know how long the training actually takes, so maybe if it's like a 6-month training or something, maybe it's more appropriate to say like maybe they have to get 50% through, and then they can complete the
There's
rest.
some vetting process.
Right, something.
Right.
And I would certainly say be signed off by a vet, you know, about their vaccinations are all up to date and that the vet thinks they're a good temperament. That would weed out some of the bigger concerns of rogue, angry dogs getting into the
Puppies
schools.
running through the hallways.
Right.
Yes.
The other question that comes up, and I know it's controversial, but is there a specific type of dog that we would be saying no to, or is it any and all dogs? Because that question will come up.
Well, I don't know if they're on the AKC Canine Good Citizen certificate, if there's breeds that are not allowed to get one of those.
And I can follow up and ask Jake to follow up with Amy and get some of those answers, because I think at this point the dog's done. I mean,
He's tired of waiting.
He's retired.
That was funny.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, yes. But, well, who's gonna ask? I mean, and when I say that, I'm just saying, are we overthinking this in the sense that a therapy dog, to receive that, I would think they have to be, but I don't know, I don't do this, so.
But again, you know, to Jacqueline's point, or is there before they're allowed to enter their school, there definitely is some check marks, like the vet, I mean, some of that in there, they can be 50% of this training is done, but there definitely needs to be we can't just have a random off the street coming in.
Right. This says that it's open to all dogs, purebred and mixed breed, no age minimums or limits for participating in the program.
So any and all.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't have a problem with that. I just know some parents may be uncomfortable, to which they have the right to express their uncomfortableness. So the dog must have a current AKC certificate or equivalent acceptable to the principal and superintendent.
Once they get their certificate, it doesn't expire, it looks like, So they don't have to retest to maintain their certification.
Because there's a cost to the program, correct?
Looks like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing if I can find how long it takes for that training.
Oh, I get why they're saying equivalent acceptable, because AKC only deals with purebreds. So if the dog is not a purebred, can
I
they still
wondered
get the
about that.
AKC good canine good citizen certificate?
But you didn't read the new
Yeah,
sentence.
it said that they can.
They can, so
Okay,
maybe
I can
it's,
check that.
there's AKC certified, like purebred maybe, and then we're talking about good
Good
citizenship.
citizen, right.
Good dog.
They're trying to be more inclusive.
Yeah.
Forward.
So just to give us an idea too of what the certification includes,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't found where it tells you exactly like here's how long roughly it
Mhm.
takes on
Mhm.
average. I'm guessing that it's probably like 4 to 6 months depending on the age and whatnot of the dog. But basically there are 10 different tests that they have to accomplish, and those tests, like the training can be done in a paid for private like class at like
Mhm.
PetSmart, or you can just train your dog on your own, but then the testing has to be through a certain test facility, you know, so you have
Okay.
to schedule a
To-
time.
To
Okay.
vet the
Right.
proficiency.
And the testing items are accepting a friendly stranger, sitting politely for petting, appearance and grooming, walking on a loose lead, walking through a crowd, sitting down on cue and staying in place, coming when called, reaction to another dog, and reaction to distraction and supervised separation. So maybe I take it back, maybe they do need to be certified before they come to school. I don't know if you would want them to come in if they hadn't proven that they could be approached by a friendly stranger without.
Can they be
Yes, that-
controlled?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what I did add was the language that he had in here, he being Jake. So the dog must have a current AKC Canine Good Citizenship certificate to him working in a school. Therapy dogs are individually trained and certified, registered to provide appropriate interactions with students and others. Certification must be completed. See, I don't understand why it's in here other than I know he was working with someone who actually trains dogs,
Mhm.
therapy dogs. So I don't know if this was their perception of what it should be
Yeah.
or whatnot. Because I don't know why the certification must be completed 1 month following the dog's first birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems arbitrary, but
That does.
I'm no
I-
expert.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't put that in, especially
Okay.
if the AKC certification itself says that it can be any age of dog.
Okay. And then, okay, so then dogs over the age must complete certification before approval for schoolwork. So, in thinking about it though, puppies are more agreeable with
Mhm.
children. I mean, they're not as, unless it's a little dog, little dogs have special issues with children. But bigger dogs, you know, they're more rambunctious, want to play, want to love. So I don't know if maybe that's why that language was in there.
Mhm.
Because if you're training a puppy to become a therapy dog, you're gonna have to have them interact with the children.
Right.
So I don't know though if we want our environment to be, you know, the pilot for dog therapy trained dogs.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
I mean,
totally
I'm
good
just
with
gonna
taking
throw
it
this
out.
out there, not sure that I would want the puppy and all the functions that come out of puppies.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because to me that's but if the handler is with the puppy, it's not a burden on anybody within the school building.
No,
Yeah.
But it is a distraction.
it's just the hygiene of it all.
It is the hygiene, but to me it's a distraction because
Yeah.
the kids are going to be watching the puppy go out to go do its business and then come back in and oh the puppy's back and we've got to calm the classroom down again.
Right, 'cause
I mean,
5-year-olds
and I could be
can't do
totally
it
wrong,
themselves.
but yeah. So we could just make sure that the puppy is,
Potty trained.
well, no, that the dog's already got certification, so we're not the responsible building for certifying.
Potty trained is good too.
Well, that's interesting, because this fourth paragraph kind of contradicts the whole first month of birthday and all that stuff. But that's okay. So a handler is an adult who is responsible for caring for and supervising a therapy dog, which includes toileting, feeding, grooming, and veterinary care. Students shall not act as handlers. Good. The district is not obligated to supervise or otherwise care for the therapy dog. Therapy dogs are the personal property of a district employee or volunteer. Therapy dogs are not owned by the district. Therapy dogs are not service dogs as prescribed in policy 3275. We need to make sure that's the number of our service dogs.
I'll look right now.
Animals.
3275.
Right,
23.
2375. And it says service animals in school. I'd
That's
like
what
to
our
look that up.
policy says. 2375 is service animals in schools.
Okay.
Yep.
They are also not emotional support dogs intended to provide comfort to a particular individual. This policy is not intended to and does not allow students, parents, guardians, staff, or others to bring emotional support dogs onto any district property. Okay. Therapy dog plan. District staff who wish to have therapy dogs made available to students shall submit a plan to the building principal. It must be resubmitted each year, and anytime a different therapy dog or handler will be used, the plan shall address the following topics. The location for the therapy dog to be kept when the therapy dog is on campus. Okay, which missed me. Okay, direct access to the outdoors to permit the therapy dog to enter and exit the building without using building's interior hallways. Well, that wouldn't work. I mean, they'd have to go through the hall.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Free of intake for the building, free of an intake for the building ventilation system or an independent ventilation system. And non-porous surfaces including carpet-free floors for easy. Yeah, okay, yeah, we can strike all that. I mean, unless anybody, I'm sorry. I'm so used to just doing this with Ramona.
I don't have any strong opinions on this policy.
Okay,
I think you can strike it.
the credential of the proposed therapy dog and the organization that has certified them. Proof of the proposed therapy dog has received that. The credentials of the certification providers. That's a lot of stuff. Copy of the proposed therapy dog's temperament evaluation. Oh,
We might want to specify on that one who's providing that evaluation. Like, is that a veterinarian?
I don't know anything about this.
I would think that needed to either be a veterinarian or one of the test providers or something.
So the following information will be kept current and on file with the building office. Proof from a licensed veterinarian that the trained school dog is in good health and has been immunized against diseases common to dogs. Such vaccines will be kept current and up to date at all times. Documentation of training and certifications. An LGSD approved plan for each individual school trained dog. This will have details pertaining to individual dog handlers, teams. We're not having teams, we're having one person. And will include elements such as schedules, activities, interventions, care, toileting, plans, etc. I like what he has down here. So
I think we'll also need to specify what vaccines we would want the dog to have. I'm gonna out myself. I'm happy to provide input. I'm actually a veterinarian, so
Good.
Cool.
Awesome.
I can provide good information about vaccines.
I am not a, what the heck? Okay, interesting. I hate Google. Sorry, I'm not a Google fan.
Good.
Oh, poop. Therapy. Okay, so proof that the therapy dog, it says it has been immunized against diseases common to dogs.
Right.
So, and then such vaccines will be kept current. So,
So is it this 2580, is this our policy that's in use?
no, we don't have a policy
Yeah.
in use.
Okay, is there cause if there's language about which vaccines you guys are requiring in the other, the
For
use
kiddos?
of,
In
yeah.
the example.
The
Oh,
other
no, the
policy?
3280,
Yeah, or
Okay.
3275,
which
whatever that one is.
we don't have that, or 2580. Wait, is that it? Is that?
You're talking about the service animal?
The one, yeah, the
No,
one
use
that
of
you checked.
animals in education programs, which I think that page, this 2580,
Mhm.
is the policy that we're gonna review, because I think this came from ISDA.
Mhm.
Yes, it did.
Cause they list specific vaccines and even want a negative like fecal test or that we can require it. So
Oh.
just for our other policy on for whatever animals.
Right.
We already have in
The
place. we just-
service dogs.
Service dogs, maybe we wanna check and just make it match whatever we say
I'll pull
there,
that one up really fast.
Okay.
but otherwise we can,
This one talks about a health certificate for dogs.
Okay.
So against canine distemper, hepatitis,
spirosis,
okay, canine parainfluenza,
parvovirus.
parvo. Okay, and so,
So this one doesn't,
Doesn't list them out.
mm-mm.
Does it complicate things too much if we list it out on this other one, or is this different because it's trained school dogs and we can say what we wanna say?
I mean, I guess I would just question, do we have the authority, like if it's a service dog, do we get to dictate what the service dog can or can't?
Be vaccinated for?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the trouble is some of these diseases are zoonotic, so they could be transmitted to the kids, like if the dog had rabies or lepto, could
Yeah.
be given to humans, so.
But what are the, I mean, we'd have to look up the legal requirements with a service animal. Are there requirements for them if they're taking them out in public? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Versus the trained school dog one.
right, cause that one we're doing, this one is it's personal to this person.
right,
And what are the parameters, like, so if you take a service dog out, are there legal obligations
Right,
to take that animal out in public?
right. If it's your service pet, right, which I think people can't really ask you about it.
Well, that's what that's my understanding is you don't really get to question it. They
Right.
don't have to give you, like, we can't require because it's my service animal and I
Right.
have that, it's medical
Right,
and I don't get to, it's mine
right,
versus
versus this is a trained school
a
dog.
pet, kind of,
Right, so maybe we could just require what we wanna require for this, cause the school is.
and not blurred.
well, yeah, I would say that, I mean, identifying what we're expecting for the dog, be it a therapy dog, Because that's someone bringing it into the school to interact specifically with the children. The service animal is specific to that person to manage and navigate
Right.
their environment. So I don't think we are allowed to require things
I don't
of the
think so
service
either.
animal, but I do believe for this and for the other policy,
Mhm.
we are allowed because it's a privilege.
Mhm.
It's not a right.
Right.
We don't have to allow any animals within the school district.
Yeah,
Outside of service.
yeah.
So, shall I list all of these ones that are there? Are there more or less that you think are
Those are the
significant?
big ones. I don't like it when it says hepatitis because that's not accurate. So we could put the actual virus name there.
Okay.
So like, yeah, I think it should be canine distemper, adenovirus 2 would be the hepatitis, leptospirosis, parainfluenza, parvo, and rabies. I wouldn't put Bordetella on the list if it were me because that's
Okay.
kennel cough for dogs, which is not contagious to humans and
Okay.
not a risk to people. So
Who knew that you were gonna be so helpful?
I came to the right meeting.
Do you have a practice or do you work with someone else?
I don't anymore. I practiced for 10 years and now I'm mom again
You get to be a mom.
and go to all kinds of school stuff.
But awesome that you get to do that.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Adeno, is that A-D?
Yeah, ADENOVIRUS and then a space and then the number 2.
Just wondering if we have an in with a vet. Last Christmas we surprised our kids with a puppy,
What kind of dog?
a boxer,
Oh, fun.
and they still say it's the best Christmas present they've ever had.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Boxers are such big goofballs.
Do we need a negative fecal exam on intestinal parasites?
So, I mean, obviously you don't want the pet to have parasites, but, you know, you could get a negative test and then the next week they could have parasites. So it's very common to like require like a once a year or twice a year negative fecal test from
Okay.
them. So I feel like that should.
It's a standard kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Either proof of broad spectrum deworming or a negative fecal test, which I would just stick with a negative fecal test personally, actually, now that I say it out loud.
Every 6 months?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very reasonable.
So proof of the proposed therapy dog has received the appropriate training certification would be documentation for training and certification, right?
I think so.
Okay.
On B, do you want to add anything about the temperament from the proof from the vet? Or just if they have their certificate, we feel like they're good to go?
Do vets give those kind of reports?
We get asked to write letters,
Oh.
sort of like recommendation
Uh-huh,
letters,
yeah.
and where we can say the dog seems to be a good temperament. Some vets really hesitate to do it though, because then they worry like if the dog did bite someone, are they gonna be
Liability.
right?
Yeah.
So maybe we just do leave it at health because that's easy to testify to versus saying he's a good boy.
Well, we do state, you know, the dog must be well behaved and have a temperament that is suitable for interaction with students and others in public school.
Yeah. And if he got his certification, he should be
He should be,
A
a
good
good
citizen.
temperament. Yeah.
okay.
You're saying a good citizen.
Mhm.
Plans for interaction between the proposed therapy dog and students, including the students the therapy dog is intended to serve. The anticipated goals for the intended use of the therapy dog, proposed instruction to be provided to the students on the appropriate behavior and treatment of the therapy dog. How the staff member will accommodate students who are allergic to the dog, fearful of the dog, or whose parents do not give permission for the student to interact with the dog. I like that. Just trying to figure out where we can add these things that of the why. Plan for care and supervision of therapy dog, including the identity and credentials of the handler, the credentials of the providers of the handler's training. I don't know that we need that, do we?
Are you talking about B, 4B?
Mm-hmm. Cause that would be like, we hire a teacher and then we need the credentials of all the instructors that taught that teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that does seem like a little much. Or we could go the other way and require the credentials of the credentialers of the handlers training.
Does that, I mean, Lynn,
But wouldn't you, could you just have, I mean, the program itself has a certification and it's like, wouldn't you just get the proof of that credential of the certification? It's not really a credential, it's a certification, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and A just sort of seems like it covers it, like, you
Yeah,
know who the
identity and
handler is
credentials
and
of-
you've got their credentials.
But if you want the specific to the training that they participated, you could get the certification that they completed it.
Right, which I think we already have said that they
Yeah.
have to provide that.
I just don't know what that would give you.
well, I mean, I think it's like, I'm really good with dogs and I can train dogs, so therefore I'm now a handler.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had no formalized training, no supervision, no appropriate or protocoled instruction.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you have no credentials then?
Right, and the board could just deny them.
You know, my Google skills in a laminator. Credentials. You know, well,
Oh, I
but that
see.
happens nowadays.
Okay.
People just think they're entitled to whatever they want to title themselves, and they
Yeah,
create their little woo-woo, and
that's a good point.
off you go. You know what I mean?
So we're guarding against fraud in the providing of the credentials of the handler.
Right. So I mean, now I kind of see more why it's there, but I just think it's like,
If somebody's going to go to
Yeah.
such great lengths, I mean,
Right.
you could write a book trying to prevent that kind of thing.
that's correct.
Or the Code of Federal Regulations.
Yeah. And you could still vet their credentials that they provide you with if they hand you a laminated certificate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean,
The principal could check it out or whatever.
yeah. If they were concerned,
Right.
you know. Okay. Proposed schedule for the handler to provide necessary care for the therapy dog, including exercise, feeding, watering, toileting, and any necessary cleanup. Well, then we should put it there. And proof of an insurance policy that provides liability coverage for the therapy dog while on district property. Liability. So the handler shall assume full responsibility for the trained dog's care, behavior, and suitability for interacting with students and others in the schools while the trained school dog is on school property. Because LJSD recognizes the importance and value of trained school dogs programs, school district funds may be available for health and training certification and needs. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the building principal may reject a proposal for any reason and shall reject the proposal if does not meet the requirements of this policy. The building principal does not consider the benefit to outweigh the risks and costs. The building principal believes that the time required to care for the therapy dog is inconsistent with the assigned duties of the school employee / handler, or the proposal is otherwise inconsistent with the needs of the school. Fair enough.
Yeah. And I think we have to be respectful of, we have some kids with really significant allergies, and so it may not be appropriate for a season because of some of those kinds of things. Or it's the person that wants to do it, it's not a good, the dog's not a good fit, the person's not a good fit. I mean, there could be some.
There's all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, the principal. The building principal shall submit any proposal the principal desires to be approved to the superintendent or their designee for final review. The superintendent may approve. Whichever it is. I don't know why it's that the building principal shall submit any proposal the principal desires to be approved. I mean,
The proposal. The lawyers wrote that?
oh yeah, they're crafty little burgers. The proposal, the principal.
This is probably one of the better written ones, to be honest. True.
Because if the principal's gonna reject it, well then the principal rejects it. But if the principal's not gonna reject it, then the principal submits it to the superintendent.
Yeah.
May approve or reject the proposal, okay. Approval of any therapy dog program may be suspended or ended at any time by the building principal or superintendent for any, or for reasons including but not limited to, commas are friends. Any violation of district policy, the administrator's determination that the dog's presence interferes with the educational process, or the administrator's determination that the handler or dog have behaved in an unprofessional or unsafe manner. Okay. District employees shall not receive any additional pay, stipend, or compensation for providing the therapy dog, or for being the handler and or the owner of the therapy dog.
That's a mouthful.
Hmm?
That's a mouthful.
Supervision and care of the approved therapy dog is solely the responsibility of the therapy dog handler. When the therapy dog is on district property, the therapy dog handler will assume full responsibility and liability for any damage to district property or injury to district staff, students, or others while the therapy dog is in the district property, is on the district property. Therapy dog handler must maintain an insurance policy that provides liability coverage for the therapy dog while on district property. Didn't we already say that? We're saying it twice.
Well, we listed it as a requirement for application, I think.
Okay. I remember seeing it. Alright, so appropriate identification as a therapy dog will be kept with the handler at all times. Okay, appropriate identification as a therapy dog will be kept with the handler. What is it? What is the appropriate identification? Oh,
Maybe the certification.
well then it goes on to say, the therapy dog shall be required to wear a vest, collar, or other article identifying them as a therapy dog and distinguishing them from a service dog. The therapy dog shall be under the control of the handler, we're only having one, at all times, and shall be required to be kept on a leash. Therapy dogs shall only be allowed in areas authorized by the building principal. If any student or school employee assigned to the classroom in which the therapy dog is permitted suffers an allergic reaction to the therapy dog, the handler of the dog will be required to remove the dog to a different location by an administrator. Therapy dogs shall not attend field trips. But they want to go to the Croc Center and swim. A student shall not schedule or attend a session with a therapy dog. And and the student shall not have contact with the dog without a completed form 2580F student permission for exposure to dogs on file. Okay. District procedure for dissection of animals? Why are we referencing that? I don't even think we have that policy, do we?
Not that I'm aware of.
Sorry, did I type
30,
it
yeah,
here?
no, we
I
don't
meant
have 30,
type.
25 ADP.
Computer.
I'm going to see what 2580P is.
Or we don't have it. 2580 is the service animal, or the,
Oh, 2580 is use of animals in education
right, so it's like
programs.
the hamster story. So we don't have it, so this policy assumes that you should have something about dissecting, apparently.
Oh, yeah. So 2580P, district procedure on dissection of animals. Keep a catalog provided by building principals. This is what the superintendent needs to do. Keep a catalog provided by building principals of all schools that house animals in schools. And then the building principal has a bunch of tasks. The curriculum director has tasks.
We don't have a curriculum director.
Dissection includes cutting, killing, preserving, or mounting of living or dead animals or animal parts for scientific study.
Living animals.
And they
You teaching some taxidermy practice?
does not include the cutting, preserving, or mounting of meat or other animal products that have been
Good thing they
processed.
specified.
Yeah, wool, silk, glue. Good lord.
Ew.
Supervising, and there's annual things and continuously
Is
things.
this on ISBA?
Mm-hmm.
Ew. Well, then they talk about the form that you have to have for 2580, and they don't list the form.
25 what?
There's a 2580F form or student permission for exposure to dogs on file.
Yeah.
ISBA
We don't have
has
that
it,
on
but
file, but yeah. So we'll need to implement that as well. I kind of like their form.
Rosanna, do you have it downloaded?
I'm looking for it right now. I'm going to try to see if I can download it.
Well, that's interesting because this is like the following animals are prohibited in schools: venomous or toxin producing animals.
Bearded
Examples.
dragons.
That's what I'm like, whoa. Certain spiders, insects, reptiles, and amphibians. Wild or exotic animals. Mammals at high risk for transmitting rabies, including bats, raccoons, skunks, foxes, and coyotes. No non-human primates. Stray animals.
Oh my goodness.
Aggressive or unpredictable animals. Any animal in the Idaho invasive species list, and any animal considered inherently dangerous.
That's relative.
Alright.
Yeah, it is.
That's relative to the owner.
Boxers.
So, I mean, we do
Like
need,
you all to death.
we do need to implement a form, but I do think if we can implement policy 2580,
Mm-hmm.
that form would be sufficient for this policy.
Okay, do you feel like we're done with 2585? Like, so that I, Rosanna, can prep this to send out for parent input?
I would say yes. What do you all think?
I think so, other than I double checked the adenovirus and there's a dash too, not a space. So we could fix that just to be,
Where at?
because it'll bug me.
I thought you were professional.
I know. I'm out of the group.
Where are you?
Where we listed the vaccines, where we changed the hepatitis to adenovirus space
Okay.
2, it
Yeah.
should be adenovirus dash
Oh.
2, not a space.
Well, see, those of us don't know that, so thank you for sharing.
It just would have bugged me
Where
forever
did
if
it
it wasn't
go?
right.
It's that big paragraph, isn't
It's
it?
on number 2.
Okay.
I'm proud of your spelling.
I asked. Do any of these need to be capitalized? Like
Mhm.
canine distemper, is that a proper noun?
I mean, I would capitalize them. They aren't capitalized in the example that this one has.
That's because lawyers wrote it.
Yeah.
I can tell she's like, I don't get that much of a stickler.
You have no idea. Me and my that's.
Yes,
Okay.
I think that's better.
I mean, if we're gonna do it, we might as well do it right.
Yes, agreed.
Drives me nuts.
So then on that notion, I feel like then we need to, before we send this out, and we need to have, it references in the narrative 2580F, so I feel like we should be able to link a 2580F in, so they know what we're looking at. Do we have that downloaded yet?
I'm still looking. They
Okay,
changed
sorry.
ISBA, so I
Sorry.
can no longer download those policies because we don't subscribe for that higher level. But I
Well,
do have 2580F.
we need to find out what we do
Yes.
subscribe for because we did have the whole thing.
Yes,
So-
I used to be able to.
No,
Yes.
I hear you.
Yeah.
We need to find out what it is we do actually have because we've paid money.
Mhm.
We should have this. If it expired and it wasn't renewed, we need to figure out why. And bring that forward so we can have the right tools to navigate this
Oh, it
A little
looks like
quicker
you
than-
did already download it,
snails.
Rosanna.
Oh, okay. I'm just looking in my files right
Oh,
now.
it looks like Janelle must have done it.
Is it?
Somebody did, it's all
There
in
was an update though, in the summer of 20. It says summer 22. So I will have to download that one page and upload it, whatever it's to do with Google.
Well, 2580F shows an update 518. Because I'm in ISBA's dealios right now.
Yeah, 2580F, is that the one we want?
Oh, but I am in their summer 2022 updates. Okay. Yeah. So is that there?
Yeah, it says 518 update, yeah, but it's on that section.
Well, then I wonder what their.
You said it said summer of 2022?
Well, in their summer 2022 updates, it's there. I'm gonna just run it side by side to see.
Oh, it's because one of the pages, 2585, is updated on 1021.
Oh, yeah.
2585F.
Just gonna try something.
Oh, so there is the 2585F that they've added. There it is, okay. Well, so if we bring that up.
Yeah, we'll let you copy and paste it.
So name of handler, mailing address, contact number, therapy dog, breed, name of dog, age, weight, weight, color. Please provide a brief description of the services or functions the therapy dog will be providing, school site to visit, which students do you intend for this dog to serve, how will students be instructed on appropriate animal behavior of the dog, How will you accommodate, can you pull up ISBA's version, for them to see? 'Cause I'm just
Have it
randomly
side
reading.
by side if you wanna look at it.
Okay, I think
So
I'm,
the pink one is the download, and then this is the current ISBA, so we're looking for differences.
right,
But if you want to be able to see it, I can. Or is that what you wanted, Michelle?
I just don't know what I'm looking at. No, I'm looking at ISBA's, but I was looking at two of ISBA's instead of WARs and ISBA's, so I was comparing
I'm trying to
basically
compare
the same
the
thing.
two side by
No,
side.
no, that was my intention.
Oh, okay. Which side students need? What is? Students are free, rooms are in. I don't see any changes to this one.
Yeah, the one in their summer 2022 states ISBA update 1021. Does it state that on the bottom of that form?
Mm-mm.
Oh, Janelle must have removed it.
But when you just look at it side by side, I don't see any differences.
Okay.
So this, we could go off of this one. Name of handler, address, contact, dog breed, name of dog. Please provide a brief description, school.
Does it have age, weight, and color?
Mhm, mhm.
Okay.
School site visit, which students you intend for the dog to serve, how will students be instructed on appropriate behavior around and treatment of the dog, how will you accommodate those who are allergic, afraid of the dog, blah blah blah. And it says rooms or areas a school dog will visit or be kept, dates of visit. By signing, I'm affirming that I've read this policy, I understand permission, and it lists 7, so expiration, an allergic reaction, failure, the therapy dog, unsafe, the presence of a therapy in violation of 2585, which it's all in the other one.
Okay.
I understand I'm responsible for any and all damage to district property or personal property, and any injuries caused by a therapy dog. I have also understand the district is not responsible for any costs related to my therapy dog. I agree to indemnify, defend, and hold harmless the district from and against any and all claims, actions, suits, judgments, and demands brought by any party arising on account of or in connection with any activity of or damage caused by my therapy dog. The following documentation, so there's 6 of them, so proof, vaccines, documentation of the state licensure, documentation from American Kennel Club, any relevant credentials, annual proof of insurance, a proposed schedule when necessary. And then I understand this proposal is approved. And approval of this may be revoked at the building principal or district superintendent at any time, and then it goes on with signatures and approved and rejected. So it's identical.
Okay.
So we can,
What I do wonder is if the items 1 through 6 under the following documentation must be included is also included in the policy. Those words. Oh.
it's, well,
You can keep scrolling. Or you need to scroll down to 2585F.
Oh, I thought I was on it, no. Oh, 2585.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it's not.
There.
So here is we kind of say it, cause we say proof of, appropriate certification, we say licensed, current vaccinations, and then we list those. We put the fecal, they do not. We don't have number 3, number 5, or number 6 listed. And then we added the fecal matter, and that's not listed.
Cause we have an F and an F1 in the drive. Let's just stick with the, I don't know if it's the same one or not, but
Oh, I don't, under 2585 you see an F and an F1?
yep. Okay, so I think the F1, someone put the district's name on it. I don't know if that was Janelle or whatnot. Okay, so proof of annual exams, it shouldn't say annual, it should just, or annual vaccinations, it should say proof of vaccinations. Do we re-identify the vaccinations or proof of vaccinations as identified on the policy?
Mm-hmm. Cause then you're gonna get us into 3 pages.
It's already 3 pages.
This is true.
Vaccinations. Documentation of state and or city town licensure. So documentation of licensure. So we don't ask for it to be city, state, town, county on the policy.
Mm-mm.
Oh, we've got the fecal thingy too, don't we?
Mm-hmm. We
Okay.
added that piece, and that's not on any of these.
Okay, so what does it say? Proof, oops.
Proof of negative fecal evaluation.
Documentation from the AKC or others pertaining to my therapy dog's training. Any relevant credentials? I think credentials would be relevant. I don't know who's subjectively choosing. Annual proof, that should be lowercase. Paper schedule when necessary care for the dog. That will take place at the school. Schedule when any necessary care of the dog.
For number 3 on that one,
Yeah,
is that, are we meaning the, like, AKC credential thing, or are we meaning licensure of the dog?
well, annual or as otherwise required by the local jurisdiction to own a dog would mean a dog license. We don't ask for that in the pursuit policy.
Right.
Okay. Do we want it to be a licensed dog?
I wouldn't, I mean, all you need to get a license is have a rabies certificate and apply.
$20.
Right, so,
Doesn't really mean much,
right,
other than you are the owner of the dog.
right.
And we know people steal dogs, so I don't know. We can get crazy.
We need a DNA test, I'm sure it's
That's
not a
right.
raccoon.
There we go. Or a bat. I understand that if this proposal is approved, their dog will only be allowed on district property as described in the proposal. The therapy dog may only interact with students who have provided written permission. The approval of this proposal may be revoked by the principal or superintendent at any time. Therapy owner, building principal, superintendent. Okay. Looks good. The only thing I would do is remove the space between the words and the line for signatures. That drives me nuts, but it's a pet peeve. See all that space? It should just be right under the line. Just saying. Okay, so that form is done. Now
Okay,
we just,
so what I did is in the original policy, I just
Mhm.
went in and linked 2580F into this policy, so it's there. So
Okay.
we will send both 2585 and then 2585F out for parent input.
Question. Is it inappropriate for us to comment on the parent input requests that
No.
come out since
No.
we're on the committee? Is that
No.
double dipping or something?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Double dipping.
Our work was excellent. Approved.
Can you please put that? That made me laugh. Are you okay with that I linked it in?
oh, I'm trying to figure out what I did. Okay, this has to stop. It's driving me nuts. Because I X'd out April Hoy's little thing and it took everything away. And now the corrections or the additions that we did aren't there. Well, they are. But somehow everything became bolded. This is why I don't like Google.
Well, you can just X out of her, you reject her stuff. Oh, that's what you're saying is I just didn't.
I just
erase
X'd
that.
it, yeah, and when I exit, it all goes away.
Cause she just copy and paste it, so I'm just gonna do that and then now we have this and then you can do this and trash her bookmark, trash the bookmark, and then it's all, but is that, oh, then it did take away our stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it totally did a wonky format on it.
Doesn't make any sense. Watch this.
Just make it come back to what it was, please.
Now it doesn't want to.
I know, right? Oh.
All your edits just went away?
Yep.
Maybe convert to Google Docs format.
Oh,
So you're
'cause it's
editing
a doc
you're
X.
editing a Microsoft file in Google. This
Good catch.
likely causes issues.
This has never happened
Ooh,
before. We
file
should
version
be-
history. Oh, who
Yeah.
did that?
See,
If you go to version history, you can't go back to your changes.
no, you should be able to.
Well,
Whoa.
Oh. Only shows 2 edits.
Well, no, cause this is just the form. You're on the Google form. We're on policy too. It's not letting us go back.
well, and I'm wondering this 2585, because when I had it up,
See, I can pull the whole thing up.
but okay, so something's. This is annoying.
I'm making a copy of our original just so we have it, cause you're making me nervous.
I'm nervous because now I closed it out because that's what I do, and now I got a pink version, Okay.
There's gotta be a way to find our original.
Hit Control Z a lot. See if that works.
I mean, it's, now it doesn't have, did you take off the April thing again?
I didn't touch the April thing.
Well, all of our stuff in both the F and the 85 is gone.
In the 85, I did just accept her check mark.
I know, it took away all of our, oh no, it's.
No,
we
it's
have
there.
it.
It's just not there because it says like use of dogs, animals,
Yeah.
and I had deleted dogs. So now I'll have to go through here.
Yeah, my link is gone, the whole thing.
Your link is gone?
Yeah, we're
Okay, hold on. If we go back to here and I get like this, I don't want that. Because there's supposed to be a way you can make it come back. Because, you know, we all know how
Always is.
quick I am to click buttons and go, oops, probably shouldn't have
And
done that.
you've tried the undo and nothing happens?
Okay, well, if I undo my check mark, I mean, if I undo my last thing, it brings April's box back up, but it's,
Still your changes aren't there.
well, some
No,
of the
they are.
changes are there, but it's not as it was. So I guess we need to make sure that the documents we're working on are Google documents,
Yeah.
not,
Okay. Not DOC.
not just whatever.
On Microsoft Documents. Well, I'm gonna skip out.
We're done, it's 7 o'clock.
I don't have much input on dog policies.
Oh, come on.
Having zero expertise. on the
At
topic.
least we still have what we wrote in there. I was getting scared, like, oh,
Thank
all this
you.
work and it's for
Thank
nothing.
you guys.
Yes, thank
Have
you
a
for
good one.
coming, you as well.
But Rosanna, we're gonna have to download this into Google because we can't send this out to parents like this.
So all the changes are still somewhere?
Somewhere.
It's here, so
Yeah.
I'm saving it as a Google Doc. So now it's a Google Doc, so I'm gonna see if I can take off.
Is it in the,
uh-huh.
2585?
Yeah,
Okay, so
so
if I,
now
do
go
that.
through and look at it and see if it's what you wanted.
okay, so sorry, Pasley, there we are. There's two of them.
So
Okay.
now it's a Google instead of a
Ooh.
Word.
Oh, but April's still there.
Right,
Yeah.
so refresh it, cause I just took it off. You have to get some chocolate before you leave.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Rosanna, do
No,
we
thank
wanna
you for
stop
coming.
recording?
Yes, please, the meeting is over.